Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today our topic is renters seeking more space, how falling rents are shaping housing choices. The housing market is dynamic, tied to broader trends in the economy, society and demographics. Among the most prominent recent trends is the way falling rents are shaping renters' decisions, at least in areas where space is tight and expensive in some places. High costs of rent over the past few years have been prompting individuals and families to cut corners or make do with smaller apartments, fewer amenities, or more far-flung locations. But as rents stabilize or fall in many markets, renters are taking advantage of the opportunity to afford what used to be impossible: larger, better located and nicer homes. This isn't just a shift in housing choices, it's really about how people think of renting. Where renting was once considered a temporary compromise until someday achieving homeownership, it is now an increasingly permanent choice. For some, falling rents offer the freedom to improve their living situation without taking on a mortgage or depleting savings. That has produced a shifting demand between various types of housing, from small city center studios to large suburban apartments or houses. Reasons for falling rents are complicated and differ from city to city. They range from changes in work patterns, for example, the growth of remote work, which has decreased demand for centrally located properties, to oversupply in particular real estate markets, where developers have built more units than demand will bear, and from broader economic slowdowns that decrease people as disposable incomes, to factors that have swung negotiating power away from landlords and toward tenants. Combined, these forces are altering the dynamics of the housing market and giving renters a new edge. The affordability advantage of falling rents. Building affordability is so often the central basis of housing decisions, and falling rents have unlocked options for renters across the socioeconomic spectrum. Rising rents, which took up outsized portions of household income and left little room for savings, leisure or upward mobility, had long been boxing renters in. This calculus has changed in many markets with recent drops in rents, and now renters have the flexibility to follow choices they believe suit their preferences and aspirations. Declining rents are an instant boost to purchasing power. A tenant who once had to settle for a small one-bedroom in an overcrowded urban neighborhood could potentially afford a two-bedroom with better amenities or locate in a more desirable area. For families, that frequently means access to better schools, care and safer neighborhoods. For single working professionals, that translates into the ability to move up in space for housing units that also provide living and working balance. A need that has amplified with the proliferation of remote and hybrid work scenarios. Lifestyle improvements and the space they require. Tenants are out in the market and getting choosy about lifestyle upgrades as rents decline and space has become desirable. For years, sky-high rents have pinned down many in tight spaces, with small apartments standing in for multiple uses: living space and workspace, places to socialize and exercise. With affordability finally loosening, renters have a chance to break free of these sacrifices and find homes that fit their increasingly complex lives. Space counts for more than just comfort, but also utility. In many cases, the pandemic greatly sped up the demand for home offices, driving renters to look for additional rooms or more space. Families are noticing these changes in particular as they search for environments that can accommodate a parent working from home and boarding children's educations. Being able to rent a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, not shove into a single room unit, has become an essential desire for many renters. The urban to suburban shift. The most visible consequences of rent declines and a quest for space are the increasing number of renters relocating from dense city centers to suburban or outlying locales. For decades, being near city centers has come at a premium price, forcing renters to trade space for location. Now, with rents dropping and remote work more common, many say they are opting to move to bigger homes in the suburbs for less money. The move to the suburbs reflects a realignment of priorities. Tenants are more willing to have longer commutes or no commute at all in order to receive larger apartments, outdoor space and quieter neighborhoods. For families in particular, suburban rentals offer the chance to provide better schools, safer neighborhoods and a stronger sense of community at a fraction of the cost of urban ownership. Landlord and developer responses. Dropping rents and changing renter tastes swiftly forced landlords and developers to respond. For years, many rental markets were defined by strong demand and limited supply, which left landlords with disproportionate power in negotiations. Now tenants have the upper hand. Landlords are competing to keep high rents. One common one is updating rental units. Landlords will renovate properties to include the upgraded features and amenities that tenants want, and offer renters more flexible lease terms. Internet access at faster speeds, co-working areas in buildings, fitness amenities within those same homes, and units that are pet-friendly, among other features indicative of recent social changes, are increasingly part of rental apartments. Sociology of renting in a dynamic economy. The ever-increasing normalization of long-term leasing as an alternative to being a homeowner, along with the declining cost of renting, is also helping recalibrate public expectations. For decades, homeownership was viewed as the ultimate sign of stability and success, while renting had a stigma of impermanence and transience. Those stories are beginning to change today, by choice and as a matter of need. Falling rents are an essential actor in this cultural shift. They're remaking renting more attractive not just as an economic matter but as a social one. Renters are now increasingly able to afford homes that reflect their aspirations rather than primarily their limitations. From apartment sprawl and prime-of-life rental locations to the rise of Uber-renting pads that look better than owned homes, today's larger rental properties in highly sought-after areas are turning old-fashioned renting stereotypes on their head. Now they mirror home ownership anyway. Policy and planning implications. The move into more expansive rentals, driven by falling rents, offers both opportunities and challenges for policymakers and city planners. Housing policy has historically been about boosting home ownership, but as renting becomes the long-term reality for millions more people, governments will need to respond by ensuring rental markets are fair and affordable, and one to chew up our planet over time. A priority is to formalize rental markets. In India and other parts of the world, leasing contracts are largely informal, making tenants as well as landlords vulnerable. More robust legal scaffolding like tenancy laws that equally give and take can help instill trust that lets renting markets flourish. Policymakers need to tackle affordability over the long run as well. Although cheaper rents offer some short-term relief, they're just that short-term. Measures such as encouraging developers to construct affordable rental housing, grants and tax incentives for landlords who maintain moderate rents, which are supported by targeted subsidies for susceptible renters, can be leveraged to secure lasting affordability. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.